Hello and welcome to Empowered to Thrive. I'm your host, Corrine Powell, and I am so excited to have a few minutes with you. How's your week going? How are you doing? Pause and notice the sensations you feel in your body. Take a moment to inhale and exhale. You deserve a moment. You always deserve a moment. Take it for you right now. If it's your first time joining me, welcome. So glad that you found me, that you're here. If you listen regularly, I am always happy to spend this time with you. It means so much when some of you share feedback, when you talk about an episode that you enjoyed or that touched your heart, or you reshare it, you tell a friend about it. If you leave a review on Apple Podcasts for me, it means a lot, and it also helps other people to find Empowered to Thrive. So if you enjoy the content, if you're benefiting from it, please do any or all of that because it matters. It makes a difference. If you think your little comment, your clicking 5-star review won't make a difference, I got to tell you, it does. It does make a difference. So I appreciate if you take that moment and do that for me. All right, grabbing a sip of water. It is hot and humid around here today. I wanted to talk a bit about the faith journey, being a part of a church community, even when you feel like you don't fully belong, but you want to be there. I got my hand raised. That's me. I don't always feel like I fully belong. I want to be there. And so I choose to sit with the discomfort of what I just said, not feeling like I fully belong, but believing I do belong. The contradiction of it is all right. In fact, I think it's really important in church communities that we get to be our individual selves, that we don't all show up because we all believe exactly the same. I think it's better we show up with our uniqueness, having some differing beliefs in theology and in life, and be able to come together in the ways we do find camaraderie, even coming together in our humanity. And we're not meant to all look the same or act the same or be the same. We are different people. And that's a good thing. That's a beautiful thing. And the longer I'm on the healing journey, the more that I truly accept the most true and authentic parts of me, the much more comfortable it is to show up as myself, even when she does seem super different than other people. I was trying to describe something to somebody else the other day, and the word rambunctious came to mind. Oftentimes, words come to my mind, pictures come to my mind, and I don't always know the meaning. So if it's a word that comes to my mind and it feels like the word for what I'm trying to describe, I'll look it up. What does it mean? And it really did fit what I was trying to describe, which of course at the moment I'm not going to remember what does rambunctious mean. So let me look it up. But I was saying I am the rambunctious one in church. That's how it feels. It means uncontrollably exuberant, boisterous. If you've seen me in church worshiping in another setting, you know that's Corrine. Yep. Uncontrollably exuberant, boisterous. Uncontrollably me to me meaning it's not because I'm trying. I'm not trying to put on a front. I'm not trying to muster up my excitement. It's there. As spiritual beings, I believe we are all connected with the spiritual world. We see the physical world. Some people actually see things that other people would say, is it part of the spiritual world, like the sixth sense? But the spiritual world is so, I'm going to use the word tangible because that's how it feels to me. It's so alive, it's so real, it's so clear. And because of that, I feel things deeply. And the byproduct is intense joy, passion, excitement, um, a determination, a purpose. And in some churches, I guess in any structured place, whether it's going to be one of my group sessions, whether it's going to be church, whether it's going to be a classroom, we have a plan, which is great. We have a structure, which is necessary. And then there's certain ways I think it's important to allow for things to go differently than planned. If I come into a client session or a group session with a strict agenda and I only follow that agenda, I firmly, 1,000% believe the people I'm working with will miss out on things. So I intentionally go in, yes, with a plan, but a plan that has a lot of white space written down on the paper. There's a lot of space for what I'm not sure will need to be. And I'll know some of it in the moments as we're going through. That's where I believe we lean into our intuition, our inner knowing. We ask other people questions to find out what they need. We pause and sit within ourselves and notice what's coming up. It's a different sort of space. It's a different way of going about things. And I have a high value for it. So some of the churches, some of the faith communities have a certain structure that they adhere to. And me coming in with my rambunctiousness, my uncontrollable exuberance, doesn't fit, doesn't work. And at this point in my life, I respect that. I'm like, it's okay. It's not okay, but it's okay. Um, what I mean by it's not okay is I think we miss the heart of Jesus when we go about church that way. Um, but I do have a regard for structure, for rules and regulations. I'm actually a very strict rule follower and have had to recognize that there is an importance to also not worrying about being reprimanded if I break a rule that I don't know was a rule. I used to fear the reprimand, so I would not even try to do things for fear that I was breaking a rule that I didn't know was even there. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. So I recently watched one of the more recent episodes of The Chosen. I think it's season 5 that came out, and The Chosen is really just putting on the screen the stories told in the Bible, the experiences of Jesus on his time on earth. And the scene of him going into the temple and overturning tables and saying, I don't even recognize this place. This is my father's house, and you've made it into a place where you're selling and you're you're doing business here, and what was the purpose of this place? And it shows a lot of emotion. I was applauding how they displayed it because I'm like, that is what I do believe is okay. I do believe that's an expression of emotion, and I don't believe it's sinful. So if you're curious, go check it out. If um if you don't agree and you don't like my approach to the things I talk about when it relates to religion and spirituality and faith, you're not going to want to watch The Chosen, and you're not going to appreciate it. And do whatever you want. But um it very to me it very much lines up with what my heart knows. So I respect, I appreciate what they've done to put it out there. Of course, I don't agree with it all. Guys, that's not the point. The point isn't that we agree with everything, okay? The point isn't that we agree with each other in everything in our relationships. It's about being able to relate either around the things we do have in common or relate as human beings. There's so much more to us. We don't need to just find out what we disagree with and get stuck on that and say, I can't be your friend or I can't relate to you. Shoot. That's so divisive. There's such an agenda for that. Let's go against it. So, um, I think what's the point of what I'm even bringing up? I think the point is, actually, there's probably a gazillion points. One of the points is stay doing the uncomfortable thing. Live in the contradiction. I don't really feel like I belong, but I do feel like I belong and I want to be there. Wherever that place is, okay? Sometimes people attend a church service at a regular church service time. Other times people find other forms of connecting with people who have a connection around their faith, their spiritual beliefs, their spiritual experiences. It doesn't need to be either one, it could be any. But too often, whether it's in church, whether it's regarding our faith, whether it's regarding relationships, feeling emotions, going through our days without choosing to numb out, without choosing the addictive patterns. So often, this boils down to being able to sit with the discomfort, to do things even when they feel uncomfortable, and to heal through it. I've now been a part of a church community for the last year and a half that I've experienced so much healing by being there. Not once have I been told how you show up needs to change. That does not mean that everybody loves how I show up. In my uncontrollable exuberance, my rambunctiousness, there are some people who are turned off by that. My 9-year-old was just telling me about how some people are like, why does your mom like dance like that? Why is she weird when she's worshiping? And I feel for my 9-year-old because that's hard. That's hard to feel shame, to feel like I want to be liked by my friends, but if they think my parents weird, then they might not like me. She doesn't want people to be afraid of my dreadlocks. Um, I'm not sure what all has been said to her about them, but she definitely has opinions and feelings around them that I would imagine in some ways have come from the comments other people have made. Now, I'm used to filtering these comments. At one point, these things hurt badly. They still put a little bit of a fire in me. They basically ignite this story in me that says, we need to accept people who are different, who don't look typical, who don't act typical. I'm passionate about that. So that still lights up in me. But at one point, I would have felt like who I am, how I show up is bad or wrong, that I need to change, that I need to hide. And I had to work through that for a lot of years, worshiping in churches, being a part of faith communities that I didn't quite fit in, but I was showing up authentically. And you and I might have differences on what that means. And you might say showing up authentically doesn't have to look like that. And I am certainly not here to argue. Because bottom line, if I get one life to live, and I hope that in the afterlife, and I believe that there's going to be much my spirit's doing in the afterlife, but I do not want to live my life underneath the mindset, within the mindset of some other person who says, you can't be authentic like that. That's inappropriate. Sorry, not sorry. I'll be me. I'll make the impact on the world that I'm intended to make. And I'm not here to get into these arguments that to me feel very pointless. They feel divisive. They feel like the agenda is being made. There is an agenda politically. There is an agenda religiously. There is an agenda out there to keep us at odds with each other. Because people band together are powerful. What would the media do if there was no juicy stories to tell? I watched a movie the other night, and the one-liners sometimes they get me. I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that one-liner. And someone said to someone else, is everything all right? And they said, well, if it was, we'd be out of a job. But so often, so much is intended to keep us at odds with each other. And I'm not here for it. I will live my life broadcasting that living with differences is not only okay, it's good, it's necessary, it's healthy, that we do not all need to be the same, that we need to accept people where they're at and allow them to be on their process through on their journey. And I was not always this way. I tried to change people. I still try to sometimes, okay? This is not me trying to get on a pedestal to say that I've got it figured out and you don't. Please. I hope you hear my heart in this. I simply know some of the things I'm passionate about. And it's scary and risky still to be a part of a place where I feel like sometimes I don't belong. I don't agree with everything. If they only knew what I really did agree with, would they want me to stay? And then I realized, you know what? That's not the point. That is not the point. That's the point of religion. That's not the point of what I believe Jesus came for. And that's not the point of what I believe love says. So even if you don't believe in Jesus, when you think about love, I mean, what does that mean? I want to live in love. So keep being your authentic self. Keep living and sitting with the discomfort. Reach out, process through, do the inner work with someone who is skilled, who is safe, who understands trauma and not the trauma we think, the trauma that's just been a part of everyone's life that we actually don't always name, the emotional neglect, the ways that parent figures did not show up emotionally. You sat in sadness, you sat in pain, in grief. Your anger was not allowed. Your no had to be yes. Your opinions weren't asked for or weren't respected. These things are deeply impactful and become traumatic many times. It's the complex trauma, the trauma we live with that we don't know is trauma because it's our everyday life. It's not a big event. It's not a sexual abuse event. It's not a car accident that was traumatic. It's not a this or a that. I almost died. Those are traumatic. That's trauma. I'm not saying it isn't. There's also this other piece to complex trauma that many people don't even know they've experienced. I'm here to help you identify it, acknowledge it, and be able to heal through it so that it doesn't have to limit you from being your authentic self. It doesn't need to limit you any longer from having the full range of emotions and from being able to show up and share as if it's safe to share. How many times do we not experience a safe place to share? So we don't even know what it would be like to be able to share whatever we want without repercussions. If you need a safe place to share without repercussions, I am here. That's what I do. I hope you'll tune back in next week. I will be looking forward to spending time with you. It is summer. I have reflected and said, I don't know if I can keep up with the weekly episodes. So if for some reason you subscribe and you don't get notified of an episode next week, don't worry. It will be coming. There just might be a little bit spotty here while I'm trying to manage my 4 kids and keep up with life and figure it out. All right. I hope you have a great week in the middle of whatever heartbreak you're processing. Remember to keep showing up for you, pausing, taking notice of what's going on in your body, breathing, and reaching out to talk with somebody, to process with somebody.